In 47, God is the strength in which I trust. To go a little bit freer, to let go, and allow these lessons to become part of your experience. The You never have to release anything. Letting go is simply letting things that have been stuck, letting these illusions, these emotions, these feelings come up and letting them go. And the Course in Miracles workbook is doing just that. As we go through the workbook, we are letting go of a lot of old perceptions, ideas, feelings to come to experience the truth of what we are. So today we're looking at God is the strength in which I trust. Have you been trusting your own strength? Now, another way of saying that, have you been relying on the ego to get things done rather than trusting in God to get things done? If I'm operating from the ego, there could be a lot of anxiety and fear, could be really uneasy about how things are going. But relying on the strength of God, that greater truth of what I'm connected to, perhaps even what I really am, then it's a lot easier to trust how things are going, let things flow, let things happen from that higher perspective, that higher state of being, what might be there behind all of the ego's attempts to control and usurp God. So, just for now, could you start to allow yourself to feel, let up, and release anything, any way of trying to do something apart from the strength of God? So, lesson 47 says, God is the strength in which I trust. And could you take a moment to just be with that idea with your eyes closed? God is the strength in which I trust. God is the strength in which I trust. And you might notice that you've been trying to predict or control or make something happen from a different level. Is there anything you've been anxious or fearful about trying to do on your own as if God is not your strength? As if you don't have access to that? As if you couldn't trust in that? And could you notice as best you can what it feels like to be trying to do things apart from the strength of God? Whatever the situation, whatever's been going on, could you just notice this sense of separation and what it feels like behind the thoughts you need to or have to do things apart from this power? Could you allow what that feels like to come up? And could you let go of that energy, that feeling? Could you let go of trying to do it separate from God? Would you let go if you could and allow God to be the strength in which you trust? When could you let go of doing things as a separate ego and have God be the strength in which you trust? You never have to, it's always optional. This power will not force itself upon you. Could you allow the idea of the day, God is the strength in which I trust, to be in the mind? God is the strength in which I trust. Just letting that idea be here now. God is the strength in which I trust. And where have you been trusting in something else that leaves you desperate and searching for what the problem is, what to do about it, fear and anxiety? Is there anywhere you've been trying to do things apart from this strength, apart from God? And you might notice how that feels. Behind whatever pictures, scenes of the situation, could you notice any energy that's being carried as if there's not that strength you can trust in? In fact, it might seem like no trust at all. And could you open up and just allow any of that to come up, whatever that feels like behind that perception? And could you release it? Yes, no, either way is fine. Would you release it? This separation, this lack of trust. When could you release trying to do it on your own strength and be with the idea God is the strength in which I trust? God is the strength in which I trust. Could you allow that idea just for now? God is the strength in which I trust. God is the strength in which I trust. And it's okay just noticing where you haven't been trusting, where you've been trying to do it on your own, a situation in which you may be apprehensive, fearful, or anxious. Where have you been apart from this strength? Where has it seemed like that? And could you just notice what it feels like behind attempting to do it on your own as a separate ego, separate personality? What does it feel like to attempt to handle things apart from God? And not judging or moralizing about it, we all do it at times. Could you just notice what it feels like? Could you allow that energy to come up? Could you feel this feeling as it passes, feeling it as it moves? And could you surrender your attempts to do things apart from strength in God and trust? Would you surrender this feeling, this energy of separation from the strength of God in which you trust? When could you surrender and be with this idea, experience it? God is the strength in which I trust. And just being with that idea, God is the strength in which I trust. God is the strength in which I trust. And can you notice any resisting that idea? Is there any resistance to you being safe in God and His strength in every circumstance? Every circumstance. But what about that one? What about that? Could you notice resisting the safety of God in any circumstance at all? And that's okay. Again, most of us, I don't know anyone who doesn't do that at some point. Could you just notice what it feels like to be resisting the strength of God, the safety of God in every circumstance, in any circumstance? Could you allow that up as best you can, whatever that feels like? Not a good or a bad feeling, just some energy. It's been hanging out, it's been stuck. Could you feel that? Could you let that energy move, pass through? And could you let go of resisting your safety in every circumstance in God? Would you let go of resisting your safety in any circumstance in God? When could you let go of resisting the strength of God, His safety, also yours? And just being with this idea, God is the strength in which I trust. Could you allow this idea, be with it, maybe even experience it? God is the strength in which I trust. God is the strength in which I trust. And is there any situation, it's okay. This is to allow up the illusion. Is there any situation where His strength and protection are not there? Any exception to the strength and protection of God? Does that seem possible in some circumstance in your life? And it's okay if it seems like it. It might. Could you notice what it feels like for you when it seems like His strength and His protection are lacking, are accepting in that situation? Could you let that come up? Let it move. Just feeling, just watching, just noticing. And could you let it go? Could you release it? Would you release any concept of His strength and protection lacking from some area? When could you release any imagination, illusion of God's protection and strength not being there in every situation, and circumstance. And could you be with this idea? God is the strength in which I trust. Could you allow this idea? God is the strength in which I trust. Just repeating the idea. God is the strength in which I trust. And is there any resisting trusting that strength? Again, it's okay. It happens. Could you just notice anywhere where you're resisting trusting in the strength of God? And could you notice what that feels like? Just going into this feeling, allowing this feeling to come up. And as you notice this energy, could you be surrendering it, turning it over, just resisting the strength of God and trusting in it? Just feeling and surrendering anything that comes up, resisting, trusting the strength of God. And could you simply sit with the resistance and be surrendering what comes up, resisting the strength of God and trusting in that? And could you surrender the resistance? Give it up. Would you surrender this resistance? Give up resisting, trusting in the strength of God. If you could, when could you surrender, give up resisting, God being the strength in which you trust? And could you simply allow this idea of the day, just for now, God is the strength in which I trust? Would you allow this idea? Just sit with it, be with it, perhaps even experience it. God is the strength in which I trust. And taking this idea today, throughout your day, taking your letting go of any resistance, any trying to do things on your own strength, your ego's ideas and strength. Could you just be letting go of that and trusting in the strength of God today? It's just an option, and it's encouraged to see what happens. And if there's more you'd like to let go of, we have sessions every day. Let go of the illusions, let go of the ego and its ideas and concepts of perceptions. You can join us at the link in the description or just type in www.releasetoresults.com and try and see how much you can release in 14 days for free. I'd love to see you in more of these sessions. Thanks for joining us and have the best day you can, trusting in the strength of God. I'll see you in the next one.